This podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Cassells of the Rising Dawn series. Do you like violence? Do you like smut? Are you tired of the stereotypical novels of werewolf romance out there and want something a little bit different? Then pick up Sparked Revolution, Book 1 in the Rising Dawn series by Rebecca Cassells. Available on Amazon, in Kindle, and paperback. You too can become a sponsor of Stories, The True and the Fictional by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes.
The world isn't ours anymore. My parents told me that every day of my life. There isn't a man or woman left who remembers the day they descended upon us. After the rebellion had failed, a man named Destin led the survivors into the wilderness. He had discovered that somehow the mountains disrupted the invaders' magic. It was there a new nation was born, Ancora, mankind's last hope. 18 tribes that boasted peace. Here is where we start over, they said. Here is where mankind can flourish, they said. Here we are safe, they said. They were wrong.
Hello and welcome. This is weird. This is a different kind of Stories, The True and the Fictional. Normally it's me and Ryan having a chinwag while everyone's blurred out, but not today. It's all in. It's free for all. I shouldn't be hosting this because it's about me and it feels quite selfish. But
It's
why
your
don't we?
book launch day.
That's it though. I'm one of these people that don't really like talking about myself, you know. But let's just go around the room. Ryan, how are we going?
Living the dream, mate, even though you've already stolen my catchphrase twice tonight, but I am living the dream. I'm very excited to talk about your wonderful new book, Ancora, which I finished this week. So very, very excited to talk about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Neil, do you want to plug your wonderful wife's wares if you want?
I can do. Hi, everyone. Yes, my lovely wife, Rebecca Cassells, author of the Rising Dawn, I'll say saga at this point, because I know how many works in progress there are sitting on a Google Drive. But the latest release she's got coming out is completely separate from all that. It's a full-on romance based on some personal dreams that she's had and held me accountable for, even though Dream Me didn't do these things. It's The Broken Cabin. We have a tentative release date now of the 21st of June. So I'm sure there'll be pre-order options for that coming up in the near future. Follow her wherever she is on X or Facebook or what have you. I'm sure to find that one out.
Excellent. Now for the man who looks like a Frenchman, who's wearing a cool hat. Ainy, have you changed your mind on maps at all?
Hey! You know what's funny? I've been reading this Ancora book that we've all been reading, and you know what I've noticed at the front of the book, there's no map.
Oh no!
What? Yeah. So they're still the same on maps. You know, I love them. I love maps, but I'll just keep riding it. Yeah, no, Ainy Cormac. Plug my wares. I've got a book coming out near October. I'm hoping. I'm still editing it. Kind of looks like, oops, I've disappeared.
Looks like
Hang on, I'll do it really fast. Yeah, my background's this. Yeah, so prepare for me a Shallow Graves coming out October. Hopefully, it'll be done by then. It's pretty close to being done. And yeah, so dark fantasy, grimdark sort of thing. First of a trilogy. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Don, welcome back. Thanks for joining us and having lunch.
Breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah. We're on very different time zones.
I know.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Don Campbell. I'm a horror author from the UK. Yeah, I've got a lot of work in progress. The process, a lot, disturbing amount. That I won't get round to finishing all of it. I guess maybe ever, but I've got my debut novel is coming out in July, which is Whispers in the Woods. It's a horror novel for if you like It, Stephen King's It. If you like the Goonies, then it could be one for you.
It creeps me out even before you got to the horror stuff. I'm going through it slowly because it's good, but it's with horror. It's like I like well-written horror, but I hate it at the same time because it makes me want to watch and wants to know more, and that's just the feel I get. So I did get a sneaky peek at it, guys. So definitely hang out for that one.
I want to send you a slightly updated version where I've tightened stuff up a little bit, just because there was stuff that I think all of us, all the authors would agree that it takes more effort to make your story short than it does to make it long. So cutting out stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be there, but I've tightened it up a little bit.
Cool.
But I didn't save any pages because then I added stuff somewhere else. But I think readers will appreciate it, what I've done.
Yeah, excellent. And last of all, guys, we do have the voice of Zia from the book trailer that you just heard, Imogen Lilly. How are we, Imogen?
Doing pretty good.
This is her first podcast. She's a superstar because she's also the character of the front cover that we will get into a bit later. And those wonderful, brilliantly acting legs, Oliver Harriet.
Those are my legs.
He's actually, and I'll tell you this now, for those who've read the book, apparently everyone here,
Allegedly.
he's gonna do the model for the second book, which is all about Destin. One of them,
Right?
He's going to do arms this time.
More than legs, yes.
He's gonna do arms. But I found the perfect place to do the shot, except it's in the middle of our busiest intersection. So I've got to try and figure out a way to stop traffic. So if anyone has any ideas, yeah. So
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, the game, or just gets animals out
No,
there?
just get like signs that says like emus crossing,
Yeah.
and then people will stop because you guys are scared of them, aren't you?
No, personally, I am.
I am.
Well, in Australia, you know, when you lose a war.
Yeah.
We'll never live that one down.
Wow.
Yeah, like I don't, I kind of just made a list of things to go through, cover art and stuff. I mean, do we want to talk about the cover art before we dive into what's in the pages?
Yeah.
I'll let Imogen do a little bit of talking. While I bring this up, tell us about our adventure to Lincoln Rock, where we did the photo shoot for the concept art.
Right. So, well, on the way there, we actually had to stop at a bunch of like op shops to buy clothes because we actually didn't really have a costume for the character Zia. So, we went through that first on the way. And then when we got there, it was like obviously a tourist spot. So there was like people like all over the rock. And we ended up finding like going down where it was like there wasn't a whole lot of people and just on like this little ledge sort of thing. And that was basically where we took most of the photos and ended up being the one for the cover. So
Yeah, so that's the cover. I'll go through to the comparison. So this
no
one,
dog.
hey,
Yes, I'm noticing a lack of dog here.
There's a lack of bird dog.
I couldn't find a wolf eagle hybrid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A bit difficult to find.
It was extremely difficult to create, to not only find a mythical creature, but one that you created. It was really difficult. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, Imogen was pretty excited about the jacket we found and the pants. She's actually wearing the pants.
I am wearing
She's
them.
wearing the pants.
In character.
So she didn't like all that much doing the modeling. She just liked the op shopping side of things.
What can I say? I'm a simple girl.
And yeah, for those playing at home, Katoombo, high tourist area. It's where all the Blue Mountain stuff is, and there's like an op shop every 5 meters. It's
Sorry, are you talking about closing down Katoomba Street?
for the photo shoot for him for
No, I
Oliver.
just because you're in terms of closing off the street. I thought you meant like are you talking about your little town or Katoomba?
No, North Richmond.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
North Richmond, gee, good luck.
Right.
Because I want this shot, and this is the second book, but I want a shot of a spaceship and the mountains in the background and him standing, and it's just the perfect. You got a row of shops and service stations for those playing at home, and yeah, just that him with a rifle on his back and the mountains in the background and spaceship above it, like just that's what I kind of want for it, and the perfect spot for it is like a really busy intersection.
Are you going to get that painted as
I
well?
think- Yeah, I was
sorry.
going to say Photoshop would work.
Yes,
Yeah.
true.
Could you
That's
could you
true.
photo bash that and then send that off to your artist to?
Yeah, I probably could. Yeah,
That's
but
probably-
I like being
probably-
authentic, like with that shot of like
Authentic,
Imogen full
slash
costume.
inconvenient of closing down the street.
Closing
But
down.
yes.
I also
Well,
wanted.
you say photo shoot. The police would say armed suspect holding up traffic.
Yeah, that's with the rifle too.
Yeah, with a rifle. With that, I think we painted off the orange plastic bit because we did a movie, a home
Yeah,
movie
they
one
did,
time.
actually.
So it's even more illegal.
It's it's not great.
And I won't talk about the nunchucks I have hanging on the wall. Yeah. No. So what are you guys' general thoughts on the cover? Is it match the story well? Does it help you visualize it?
I think
Yeah.
personally, it definitely, it being that I just finished the book the other day, it 100% just captures Zia's the hero journey, so to speak, that Zia has to go through, and everything, essentially crossing one side of Ancora to the other. Just looking out up on the mountains, it just kind of shows how hard she actually has to work to get to where she needs to get to.
Yeah, but I think it was quite symbolic of possibility, because it sort of reminded me a little bit like when you get an open world game where you can travel anywhere on the map and you find yourself a high point and you can look out as far as you can go. And that's the kind of image I got, which was like, she was looking out, and that was like possibility of getting there. You can see the journey that needs to happen, and it didn't seem like she wasn't doomed.
Yeah,
there was light. There was, the sun is just in the distance, sort of it just cast a golden glow. It was like the promised land, if you like.
Yeah, it's open and lots of possibilities to just kind of endless. And I love how much, because you've got so much bushland, in the story, and the whole your surrounding bushland is Ancora, so it's there, like it's just so bushy. I think it'd be cool having that little kind of juxtaposition with your next one with more science fiction elements in the cover. You're kind of going from like a naturalistic to
Yeah.
No, because originally it was going to end like The Road, like no hope, just blah. And then I got to the end and I went, no, just no. No, this has to go on. And then that brought in the that actually Sunrise was the artist chose to do that. I didn't really talk about that. I just wanted like
clever.
A night.
It really works.
Really, really good artists. They're called Art Saluki. They're two brothers. I think they're Indonesian or Indian, something like that. They work really well together. Like I got that back in a week.
Wow.
Like I was super happy with it. Now, because Oliver hasn't done much talking, what do you think of the cover, Oliver?
It's all right. It's I reckon it's pretty good. I was actually there when he got it back. Fun fact, we were at a pub in Sydney. After having our concert cancelled, and he got it back. He's like, "Oh, look at this," and I had no idea what it was that I was looking at, but I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, cool,
nice.
I might hand it over to you guys if you guys want to tell me what your thoughts are. Just go around. We'll start with Don at the bottom. Overall thoughts. Avoid spoilers. We'll do spoilers later, but.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of stories that are about the journey. And about you fall in love with characters. And I think this book does all of those things. It's not my typical genre of reading or writing, as you know. And I'll be honest, when you first said, "Oh, here's a copy of it," I was like, "Okay, thanks. I'll get round to reading it. I will read it." But it's one of those things that it was a bit like when I give my book to my wife to proofread. I know that I'm giving it to her for a purpose, to read it and absorb it and tell me what she thinks, not necessarily for her to go and enjoy it. But I spent many days going back over chapters just to make sure that and I was like, oh no, I'm actually invested in the story. And I think, like, hats off to you. I wrote a review on Goodreads, and I'll stand by it. It's an exceptional book for your first time writing in a genre that I couldn't put a pin in. I don't know what you would call it. I'm sorry, like you're a marketer's nightmare when it comes to the story. It's like, oh, what is it? Is it sci-fi? Kinda. Is it? It's like I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you what it was. But it's a bit of a roller coaster in every sense of the word. It's quite emotional. You feel deeply for humans in it. In general, as a species, you really drive home, and I think it's pretty accurate to what it would be like many years when they're just, because I think the initial anger's gone, isn't it? The almost like the spirit, the fight is out of the humans at this point, but you've got one person that has, like a person that drives the force forward. It's beautiful. I think and it's beautifully written. It's very, especially for a relatively new author, it's extremely well written. I find it quite powerful.
Thanks.
You should be proud.
Cool. Neil smiled. We'll go for Neil.
Oh, me and my expressive. I've trying to think where to start. I'm trying not to say anything that's going to be spoilerish, because there's
hard, isn't it?
It does go straight into it. There's very little in the way of preamble there. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Don, as you mentioned, if the cover, reading the story was feeling like I was playing Skyrim or Fallout. When you go in and just, hey, I've got part of a map here. I guess I've got to go in that direction and just see what happens. And it's not spoilerish. A number of times where Zia says, "Oh, I can either do this or I can do that," which struck me like, when you play these games, you walk up to a path and then it forks off. I don't know which way I'm going to go. So there was quite, especially with the cover, it's quite, the art style is very dreamlike, and it just felt like really easy to just follow along. And I'm really struggling with my words here. I'm sorry, it's early.
Yeah, you're right.
I really did just keep wanting to find. Oh, she's out wandering. Where are we going to go to next? What are the people going to be like? Because each time other people are happened across, I'll not do spoilers. You're kind of going, I don't know if I can trust these people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
Like with the road. I mean, the road more so. But you definitely don't want to trust anyone. But I have lots of questions that I can't ask at the moment.
Yeah.
But no, I did really enjoy it. I think I'm not one for sitting down and reading, because anyone that's listened to me before knows I do a lot of audiobooks, and I've kind of broken myself the ability to read words longer than a post on X. But I sat down, made my way through it, and there were several times where I was getting interrupted, and I'm thinking, can you go away, please? I'm actually really wanting to know what's going to happen here. I can't say much more without starting to give stuff away.
Yeah. Well, there will be a spoiler section. There will be a spoiler section. That's why I added that, for the bonus stuff. But Ainy, despite the lack of maps, what do you think?
Okay, I'll admit I have not finished it yet. So I know I haven't finished it yet, and I was like, oh man, I'm coming on this podcast. So I did get AI to just sort of like I'm like, hey, I gave it the bare minimum. I'm like, hey, there's this book Ancora. What do you reckon happens? And make it like hilarious. So I've got like, she's I didn't know that she was raised by wolves and trained by cyborgs. Like it's really cool. And near the end there, where she comes across, there's like a cybernetic toaster. Oh, what's it called?
Spoilers, man.
Not to give away too many spoilers, but Crumb Unit 9, he was the villainous toaster that whole time. Honestly, I did not see that coming until I asked ChatGPT to make something up. No, but I did. I am still reading it. What I'm loving. It's so well written, actually. Like the turns of phrase and just your prose it's genuinely such good stuff. I was reading, I'm like, dude, is this the same guy that I've just like jumped on several times and just had like random chats with about whatever, because it's quite poetic. Yeah, I've read maybe 5-6 chapters into it, so I'm not super far into it, but like the way you write is so good, because I haven't read the Wedding Night trilogy and I haven't read your other stuff, so this was like kind of the first one I've dived into. And like everyone else is saying, it's actually a genuinely good book. It's not just the fact that you said, hey, can you read this book for me? And I am the first one to admit that I haven't finished it. But like a really good prose, man, like really good work.
Thanks, man. I can't remember when the creature comes into it. Have you met the creature yet? The Naybuck, as I call him?
No.
I can't remember what chapter he comes in.
Yeah, I'm honestly not that far through it.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it.
Thanks, man.
I'll
have to do a quick rewrite and throw in some robot toasters.
Dude, yeah.
No,
and
you know what? In the sequel, you know what?
The psychic octopuses. I haven't gotten up to the psychic octopuses bit.
That's going to go in the prequel now. I'm just going to put all these Ainy Cormac references because it'll fit more. Because the prequel's going to be more. It's 60 years after the alien invasion.
Okay.
Right.
So you get to learn all about the aliens.
Is that after Ancora dies?
No, it's the
She's the
rebellion.
main character.
It's gonna be the rebellion.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rebellion. But
yeah.
Ryan, because you said you're dying to talk to me about it. Overall thoughts?
Well, first of all, I want to read that book by Ainy Cormac and Cora, and Cora Cyborg. That sounds pretty awesome. No, I agree with everything that everyone said, especially what Amy said. Amy said, I can't believe that this is the guy that I've just jumped on and had a few chat with. When I finished reading it, I said to my wife, I cannot believe that this is one of my best mates that has written this book, because it felt like I was reading a book by Stephen King or one of my other favorite authors. It was really, really well written. I find that you poor Zia is all I can say without saying too much of spoilers. What you put that girl through, Jamie, seriously. But yeah, no, and there was something, and we'll get into it in spoilers, that I messaged you as soon as I read it, and you were like, oh, you didn't see that coming. And for me, I'm normally that guy that's like, yeah, you're the killer. I can pick it, and I had no idea. And that was the cyborg toaster, and he's absolutely no. Honestly, I just couldn't stop. I had a bit of like I said to you, 2 bad pain days, and I pretty much read 3/4 of the book in those 2 days. I just didn't want to stop. And I kept saying, okay, this is the last chapter, and then I'm going to move on. And I just couldn't stop. And being someone who has read all your other stuff, this is definitely the best stuff that you've written by a mile. And that's not saying your other stuff is not good. This is just, to me, this is what you should be writing. And like we said on another podcast, it's kind of sci-fi meets survivalist. Uh, Throw in a bit of hero's journey as well. And a way I can tell a book is good is the minute I finish it, I want the next one. And that's the first thing I said to you when I finished the book. Give me book 2, and just give me whatever you've written so far. I just want it now. And yeah, I don't know what you were doing when you wrote this, and I'm not trying to just blow smoke up your butt, but
No.
you need to keep writing in this world. As long as humanly possible, because there's so much you can do. Like you were saying, the next one, the prequel, but where the book ends is there's so many possibilities. There's so many different places you can go. You can go back, which you are. You can go forward. You can go into another area completely, as those who finish the book will know. There's just so much you can do, and I honestly could not be prouder of you, because I just put that book down and I'm like, wow, I can't believe Jamie wrote that. And that's the true compliment, because I read a lot of books, and some are good and some are not, and yours is amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I am going to be in this world for at least 4 books.
Awesome.
We'll see what happens, because I pantser a lot. I now plot and then pantser between. So the character, the Naybuck on the front, who's called Tren for those playing at home, he was an afterthought.
Really?
Like, he was an afterthought. And then
then he became such a big part of your story, because as soon as that Zia met him, the fact that all the other, and this is not spoiling anything, like all the Naybucks were just like attack, 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 and he was like, hold on, you helped me, so I'm going to help you.
Yeah. And his twist, I didn't have that planned until at least halfway through.
I didn't see that coming at all. And I don't know if it may just make me stupid, but I literally said no way when I was reading it in bed, and Steph's like, "What was that? What?" I said, "No, I'm just something big happened in Jamie's book." So I did not see it coming.
I was really happy with that scene with the reveal. I just knew that reveal. But we'll get into that in the spoilers. We do have a question that Damien Franson asked when I put out a video saying, does anyone have any questions? And then he said, what were your influences? I've mentioned it a lot. Horizon Zero Dawn was the spark that made just the whole idea came from that. And then, of course, I was hoping for, the road, but didn't turn out like the road. But I feel like I captured the journey of the road, but with a better ending, or a happier ending. And then, War of the Worlds inspired the first person narrative. Yeah, I'm a bit of everything. So I don't know if you guys have any questions in the non-spoiler section, or should I ask you while you think about that? Favorite characters or standout characters apart from Zia?
I love Trent. I absolutely love Trent and the relationship he had with Zia. Just from and then obviously finding out the twist further on in the book. But I love the fact that he's just loyal to her with a T. And initially you think it's just because she helped him. She bandaged up a wounded leg. But yeah, by far, I absolutely love a good animal companion. And to me, Tren was like he was the main character in my book.
I find it difficult, simply because I don't think there was any wasted characters in your book.
Not at all.
There was no one there that was there to be like cannon fodder, or everyone brought like, yeah. I think I would find it near impossible to pick out an individual character. There was no one that seemed a waste, and like some of the interactions were so dynamic that it opened each character. Like literally, you could live in that world for a while and just spin off after spin off of people met before. Like it's see, when I read and I like a character, there's nothing worse than someone that's just been thrown in.
Yeah.
And I don't think that any of the characters were just like. I'm actually quite surprised currently. I'm actually quite surprised that the creature was an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like that, you saying that was like that seemed like it needed to be there.
Yeah. Well, that's because my process is I pants I have a general idea of how I want it to end, and I pants for along, and then I just circle back a few times and add stuff as I do it and make things more concrete. Oh, what's Ainy doing?
Sorry, hang on. Wait.
Too much wallpaper change. It's
Sorry,
corrupted his computer. Yeah.
It's the evil toaster.
It's
It's
the
evil toaster.
Oh my god! Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
He's gonna hang on. He's gonna restart my computer. Yeah.
It's all right. It's all pre-recorded. We can.
I reckon you leave it in, just to show everyone that Ainy is in fact a mere mortal like the rest of it.
He needs a map.
He needs a map. Exactly.
Oh,
He's a map.
I'll bring up the dodgy Ancora map if I can, because we can't have a stream without a map, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Let me find. There you go. See that? That's my dodgy map.
Dodgy?
It was really thrown together last minute. And as you can see, there's numbers, and I actually have made a tribe for every single number. I've got the name of the elder. I've got the name of, or a basic description of it. So I did create a world, and then I wrote into that world. I may do a big map at some point, but I've always told people just go to Google Earth and look at the Blue Mountains, because it's pretty much for the Australians. The lake down there, the Saraxville Lake, is the lake that's just up from Warragamba Dam.
Well, looking at that picture, it actually feels like that would be the actual map that is in the journal, in Xander's journal.
Yeah.
That's what I get the feeling of anyway. It looks like it's a torn page out of the journal.
Cool. Yeah. So maybe I will put it in there at some point. But yeah, like, and that's that stretch of road in the middle there with Mother's Sorrow. That's modelled off where Oliver used to work, a place called the Grumpy Baker, Bilpin. So you can actually go there. And I did make some tweaks and some liberties to the scene, but I really did love Mother's Sorrow. Ainy doesn't know about
Yeah.
Mother's Sorrow, but what did you
No,
guys, without spoilers, what did you guys think of Mother's Sorrow?
I loved it. I thought it was, one of the best parts of the book. What happened to Dia in Mother's Sorrow,
Mm.
without spoilers.
Without spoilers, that was definitely one of the most intriguing parts for me, as because what happens, what is happening?
Mm.
Is this a thing? Is this not a thing?
Mhm.
The character, right? When you're asking about characters, the one I didn't want to kind of mention, but now that we're on that kind of part, the character orchestrating that scene
Mm-hmm.
is a character I'm intrigued by, just for what they are doing, how they are doing it, why they are doing it. That's an aspect that I'm really looking forward to finding more about. Please tell us more about that in the sequel.
Yes. No. Yeah. It's we'll get to more on that in the spoilers, but I have pretty much mapped out the next three books. I've plotted, but I guarantee you there will be more surprise characters. I'll probably get halfway through a book and go, I've got to go back and add something. But I love that process. I love the process of cycling through until you're happy with it.
So are you planning on, like, semi-spoiler? Are you willing to talk about the are you expanding on what we know, or are you just adding to what you've said?
I'd say a bit of both. I'm planning to like, even the let's just say the character towards the very 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 end.
Yeah.
Ryan's dying to know more about them, and I'm iffy about how much I want to go into them. But
Okay.
because I like to leave a little bit of mystery, I like to have people think, but I also don't want to annoy people and go, I never addressed this, you know.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. But what, yeah, I think it is difficult, isn't it? Because people will beg, like we will, for you to tell us more, but do we really want it?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Because
There you go. There's your answer.
but but just because we crave an answer,
Yeah.
sometimes if you've come up, because I do it sometimes, like it's even with your story, I'm like, oh well, this could be an angle that it went, and when the author takes that power away from the reader by giving them it,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, but I wanted the toaster to come out and like, yeah, to like morph into like a transformer or something. But yeah, so you're going to do a bit of both. You're going to give us a little bit of more of what we liked,
Yeah.
and give us some new characters to chew on.
Yeah. I don't like completely closing things off. Like I don't know. It's for me it's like the sitcom end of a series. You can never get the perfect ending. You can almost supernatural um you
Oh
know,
God.
and it just kept going, but I worry. And I while I'm working on the prequel, I am worrying a little bit on, is this what people would want? Um just because it may not be what you have in your head, but it's what I've had from the beginning at the same time.
I think, especially with your book, I think a prequel will do nothing but give.
Hmm.
I think people's main issue with that kind of thing is sequels,
Yeah.
because you've got something you want to happen. You've already given us Ancora. You've given us a well of beautiful characters. Finding out where they came from, like almost like an origin story,
Hmm.
I don't think will hurt. I don't think you could do, unless it was poorly written. Judging by this, it can't be. But unless it was poorly written, I don't think you have to worry about people not liking what you've told them.
Yeah.
In a prequel, I think, unless you weren't being true to the original story, but it's your story, so
Yeah.
you're fine. Yeah, I think you'll be fine. I think sequels are where it gets a little bit dicey when people are like, well, that's not what the character would have done because their interpretation of your character.
Yeah.
And it
But
leaves
the
a
whole
taste.
but the
It leaves
reason
like
that
a taste in the
Ancora,
mouth.
yeah. But thank you very much, Ainy. I like the background. The with Ancora, the only reason there is a sequel and a prequel and spin-off, left, right, whatever, is because your character told you that that's not the end that you had in. They're not going to give you the end that you had in mind.
I'm lying to you all. She just wanted to do more covers. She wanted to do more covers.
Yeah.
And this is a well ahead of time. We're going on the big family holiday next, July, come out. And we're already planning to do a photo shoot for the next book.
Yeah.
Not his book, but her book. So book number 2. So we're going to have a well ahead of time.
Nice.
I already know what that cover is going to be, and I haven't even written it, you know?
I sometimes make a cover for an idea.
All right, yeah.
So I'll have an idea for a story, a rough idea of a story, but before I can start writing it, I'll make the cover. So then it feels like it's a thing, and all I have to do is make that thing now. Like a jigsaw puzzle.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I visualize everything, and honestly, the title and the cover is the first thing that comes to me before I've even written the book. You know, it's I write like I'm reading it.
Yeah. Where did Ancora come from?
What do you mean? Like just the idea, or
the word? The word.
The word. Well, I was looking for. I mean, because this is when the idea came to me, and it was nothing like the book is now. Because it's been a bazillion different things. I think we even did a D&D campaign on it once. You know, like. But it was just I like old languages, and I was looking for like what's a really old word that means kind of like, you know, for the humans to plant the rebellion in, kind of that sort of thing, like the anchor, if you will.
Okay.
You know.
So I like that.
That's kind of where it came from, and that because I knew the title of it way before I even wrote the first page, like years and years and years. Because I tried to do a screenplay first, and it was going to be something really just I wanted it to be like The Last of Us, but with aliens at one point, you know, just gritty survival. But you know, it was always going to be Xander the father. I toyed around with another names, but Zia actually means light in some language, so that kind of sparked, if you will, the hopeful side of it.
Do you struggle with coming up with names?
Not really, no. Because when I come up with a character name, I usually I just Google what's a name that means this characteristic. And it's like, boom.
That's clever.
You know.
See, I struggle because I do a lot of short stories. Like I use names so rapidly that I'm like, I can't use James again. He's in 3 books. You know. The other thing that I find is like with names, they can be like yours. Great idea is having a meaning behind it, but like my group of friends, we had 4 Jameses, and all we did was give them nicknames. That never happens in a book. You can't seem to do that in a book. It's like, you know, you can't have 2 characters with the same name because it's too distracting. I wanted to break that stereotype and do it, but I can't bring myself to do it. But that is a brilliant idea. Find a characteristic you like and find a name that means that. That's impressive.
That's what
Thank you. I'll take that.
I had kind of like with the wedding, going back to my last book, the Wedding Night trilogy, not writing it down, because there was so much of a cast, like it was inevitable that there was going to be overlapping names. There was a James, there was a Jamie, there was a John, there was a Johnny. You know,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was different. That was there was no meaning behind the names in that one. It was just a throw it at the wall, see what sticks.
Mm.
I have a question.
Yes.
So we were talking about, I think we talked about it on a few episodes, about the animal companions, obviously going back to Tren. How difficult was it to come up with an animal companion and also coming up with something that had never been used before? Did you come up with like a whole bunch of, oh yeah, this is it, and then you find out it was used somewhere else, and you're like, well, I have to start again. Do you know what I mean?
No, well, you know me, one, I like to think outside the box, but for
Yeah.
me, it was going down I wanted some sort of werewolf-like creature. That's where my
Okay.
head was at first, and then I
Oh, okay.
was googling all the origins of the werewolf, and then it got to someone said, "Oh, there's a story in the Bible, King Nebuchadnezzar and his curse." They go, "That's the first werewolf," and I went, "Okay, I'll go look at that." I read it, and it was like, does not describe a werewolf. Like it's talking about eagle talons and feathers and stuff. I'm going like, well, I don't want to be cliche and just do a were eagle, you know? So I wanted to do like a hybrid because there's lots of hybrids in mythology, and it was
Mhm.
just the eagle wolf stuck with me. But I was like, cannot have wings. I don't want this thing to have wings because it's too obvious. It's too cliche, you know.
So my thing's maps. Your thing is wings.
Yeah. No, look, actually, yes, because I think wings are good when they're necessary.
Yeah. But emus.
Well, the book would have been very short
Yeah.
if it had wings, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what
Just
about
fly there.
what about the name, like neighbors? Like, is that another thing where you just go, okay, I want them to be this characteristic
No.
and
No, well,
that's it?
because I tied it to King Nebuchadnezzar. I wanted something that sounded like Nebuchadnezzar, but it was like Nebuch.
Oh,
I was thinking
okay,
about
okay.
I toyed around with things, but some things just sounded too cheesy. And then Nebuch just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, no, I initially when because they come into it in like the first chapter pretty much,
Yeah.
and I read it and I'm like, oh, is this a good name? But as you keep reading, it sticks with you, and it's something that you're not going to forget. It's on the tip of your tongue the whole time. It's not like
Yeah.
it's Eagle Wolf or whatever.
Yeah.
It's something that's going to stick in your mind. So
It's
I
a
was just curious.
Weagle. It's a Weagle.
Yeah, Regal. Sounds like a Pokemon, seriously.
Yeah.
But no, I like it. I like it. Yeah, it stuck with me. And like I said, Tren was one of my favorite characters. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to know how you came up with him.
That's a lot of every review I've had has been like I love a good animal companion.
Mhm. Yeah,
Well,
100%.
I'm lucky he came to my mind.
Halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I couldn't see the book without him now. Seriously,
Yeah.
like I couldn't imagine so many situations Zia gets herself into where she's trying to do everything that she can think of to get out of that situation, but she physically can't. And that's
Yeah.
when Tren comes in, and Tren's got obviously the different abilities and stuff. So they work together and get out of that situation. So I couldn't see her getting out of half the situations without
Yeah.
him.
I worked pretty hard on making her not like just like Captain Marvel, you know?
Yeah,
It was it would have been
overpowered.
Wise move.
Yeah, it would have been very easy to do that, but I was like, no, I want a human character. She's lived outside of this world, and so now she's thrown into it. She knows all the textbook stuff, but like textbook and practical are completely different things, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
That was something I quite enjoyed was being taught, she's been taught by her parents, especially her father,
Mhm.
this is what they're like. You cannot trust these people. This is how they'll respond to this. This is how they do things. This is what they use to trade. And then going out there with all of these preconceived notions and right, I know how to go through, but it's not a massive spoiler. Just at one point, there is a trade made, and she puts down the trade, and they go, "Whoa! Well, for that you'll get. I can't honestly just give you this in exchange for that.
Yeah.
I'll have to throw this and this in as well because she knows that this is a thing, but she doesn't have any idea of what the actual value of something is to other people.
Yeah,
because they say she's not lived it.
Exactly. She's been so cut off from all the other, all she knows is her family, and that's it
Yeah.
for pretty much her whole life. So, yeah, exactly. She had the knowledge, but not the practical side of things to get her through. And that's a kind of learning on the job thing.
Yeah. That's it. Have you got any questions, Ainy?
Well, now it's been spoiled that there's a trade. I didn't know that there was I didn't know there was. Hey, look, there was no content warning at the start saying that there'd be bartering in this book. If I had known, I would have said no thanks, Jamie.
Ainy, that's when the toaster comes in.
Yeah, that's how you got the toaster.
And, was it Mother Sorrow? Her she's got like a floor-length cloak made out of unpaid parking tickets. And
unpaid parking tickets.
I love the bit where she's got 37 adopted cats. Like, she's actually such a good character. I agree with the rest of you. Do you know what? Like, I did have a question, and it slipped my mind because I'm being an idiot.
You need to write that book, though, Ainy. You need to write that book now.
But it's funny though, this chat, because I was reading some of it today. Like, I'm so excited to actually get back into it and jump into it, because I'd read a chunk, and then I missed it for a couple of weeks, and then I went back to it, and I was having a flick through it today. What's the question? You might have to come back to me, but it was. No, I'm enjoying just sitting here listening to you guys talking about it, and just like okay. My thing is, like, here's another controversial thing I might say. I never find spoilers that bad. Like, if something's spoiled, sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's like, although I know what's going to happen in the end, it's the journey to get there that I'm like, So So hearing all this stuff,
there's a reason you can reread a book.
And just pick up on so many things. And even when writing, I'm conscious of that, because you get to the end of writing it and you go, okay, now I'm going to go back through and edit it. And you go, ooh, I can place these little bits here that you just subtly, that people aren't going to pick up on. And then by the end of the story, when they've read it again, they'll see all this stuff.
Well, I always try to write like that. Like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen, what's the movie with Denzel Washington, The Book of Eli? Anyone seen The Book of Eli? Well, basically, I won't spoil it for Don.
It's like a major spoiler, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can watch it, and then when you go back and rewatch it, you go, "How didn't I see this?"
Yeah,
and that's like how I like to write things. So when you do go back, there may be things you've missed. Because like I said to Ryan, I was really worried about Tren's big reveal being too, but apparently it didn't.
No,
didn't see
it coming. No,
didn't see it coming at all.
Now I'm wondering what it is. So it's really got me on the edge of my seat.
I'm trying not to spoil any more interaction going on here. So
I don't want to hear any more economics.
It's so hard. It's so hard not to spoil things, because all the questions I have related to spoilers. So
it's all right. Well,
I'm fine if it gets spoiled though. Like, don't not spoil it for me.
Well, there is a spoiler section.
The spoiler section,
Did you find it easy writing your female characters?
Not really. I've grown up with this one. Well, this one's grown up with me. So I think Chris joked about, "Oh, is there any spice in it? Has it got to be spicy or whatever?" I'm going like, "Well, it's my niece. It's my niece. Like, I see her as my niece, and I'm going like, wrong, wrong."
That would not stop Chris.
No, it wouldn't stop Chris.
It wouldn't.
We know Chris. It wouldn't stop him at all, because he'd actually right up his alley. But anyway, but
that's it.
Jamie, being the respectable man that he is, of course, no.
No, well,
and you know what? I'm very glad that it didn't have anything like that, because I think that would have taken away from Zia's journey. And I'm kind of glad. And this sounds bad, but I'm kind of glad, aside from Tren, that she went through it pretty much by herself. Because it just shows how strong of a main character she is. That she can pretty much, it's her first time outside the family compound, and she's not just going to the local town and buying a loaf of bread for the family. It's literally trying to save the world. And I think it's good, because it shows the mistakes she makes, and you've done really well by not making her like a Captain Marvel kind of character where she can do no wrong. Like, she makes mistakes, she stuffs up, and she learns from those mistakes. And then hopefully, in the next book, when she gets in that same situation, she'll be stronger and wiser and not make that mistake again.
Yeah. No, well, the second book I've planned is going to be a little more punchier. Like, there's going to be a little more pushback.
Yeah.
Because this one's more about like she can run. She's really good
Yeah.
at running. How much have you read, Imogen?
Well, I haven't read a whole lot recently, but when he was first writing like his first couple drafts, I read maybe the first 6 chapters, I think.
Yeah.
And just based on what I've read, like it's so good. And I love the fact that it was like you guys were saying before, like I love that she can make mistakes. And but I also love it's like she's not completely dumb. And I love that about a main character. It's like they come in with like a little bit of prior knowledge, especially like the kind of theoretical, not so much the prac, but then like when they start their journey more, like you just learn so much, a lot, like along with the character as well. Like then you understand the world as she's making, mistakes and like learning things for herself. And I really love that. And it's like already just for based on what I've read a little while ago, like I can just tell that she's such a strong character, and I just love that in a main character. But yeah.
And it's exactly how she sees herself.
Yeah, what can I say?
Have you read any, Ollie?
I have read none of it. It's literally on my bedside table, and I've been meaning to read it.
He's waiting for the movie.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the movie. And
Crummy in at 9.
no, I was gonna say more of what we were talking about earlier with the whole you don't mind spoilers because you can reread it as the journey. That's why I personally am not a massive fan of like whodunits and murder mystery type things, because the whole plot hinges off of the one spoiler.
Yeah.
So if you get spoiled, there's no point watching. You can't rewatch it. You don't reread them, like those kind of things like that. That's because the whole plot hinges off the one spoiler, and then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's like why I've never watched Sixth Sense. It's like, I don't see the point.
I'd push back a little bit on that and say, yeah, I redid Fight Club recently.
Fight Club, yeah, Fight Club.
That's one where you can watch that first time through. The twist happens, and then you finish the film. You could then conceivably go right back to the beginning, rewatching and seeing all of the very obvious hints that were sometimes literally flashed right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or Sixth Sense.
I did the same with Sixth Sense.
We're not in spoilers, but
I think Shutter Island.
99.
Shutter Island.
Island's that's
it's
another
like
one where you can go back the second time.
Yeah.
And you can go
everything,
spotting everything.
Yeah, and the mannerisms and the way they're talking to each other, and you see that, no spoilers, but you see the way that Mark Ruffalo's asking questions and stuff. You go, oh, now that I know what's going on, like, of course it's working out this way, Yeah. Hang on.
A straight up whodunit, I would agree that once you know who it is, kind of like, all right, I know who it is. Start going for that red herring second time round.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's particularly clever, where a twist will reveal the truth and then it recontextualizes everything that's come before.
Yeah.
Would you say then that's the depth? Like the depth of writing it, so if it was just like just say a straightforward murder mystery, like and it's got, you find out who the villain was and there it's all over. But what we're kind of talking about, like with Fight Club or with Shutter Island or something, is something where it's like maybe there's more to it, and it's not just that base level of like a whodunit, but it's there's more levels to it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a bit of a deeper story.
You can't just write a story and then at the beginning of the third act go, aha, spoiler alert, it's all a simulation. There needs to be, it needs to make sense in the context of what you're seeing. And again, like I recently I went through Fight Club again, so I'm looking back at the movie going, yeah, I can see the points where I've got to then use my brain to fill in who was talking to who in that moment. And it's you can be very lazy with it. And just say, haha, people were the real monsters all along. Right, okay, wow, original. But if you've got the wherewithal to come up with something like that, I think it can work. And then, I mean, with I fully plan to reread Ancora. I've finished it this week because I'm trying to find time to read. And then when I've got a bit more time, I am going to sit down and reread it now with, because as Jamie has painted this, or painted the world, or written the world as you see it, and you go through and you get more and more information. I feel like if I start again from scratch and reread it, I'm going to have a different picture in my head of how things are the second time round. Now that I've got more, I think I've talked about this on a lot on X recently with all the authors I've been talking to. When I read every scene, I'm painting a picture in my head.
Yeah.
And because I'm a movie buff first and foremost, so I when I'm reading a book, I'm visualizing a scene in my head, and then as more information, more descriptions are given, that pops into my head, and then it kind of, my brain then goes back and revisualizes what I'm seeing. And now I've gone through the whole thing. I think going back through it again, I'm going to have a very different impression. So it's almost like the second time round, I'm going to be experiencing it differently rather than rereading the same thing.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you mean there. You know, especially with I'm a very visual person, so I'm like you. I can paint that picture in my head as you're reading, and then now that you know the end game, what's happened at the end of it, you can go back and start it again, and the pictures that you painted will be slightly different and more involved and more complete than, you know, they were the first time round. So 100%. Pretty much every book I love, I've read at least once a year. So that's just another book that I'll be reading, you know, at least once a year. And obviously when the new stuff comes out as well. So I 100% agree with you on that, Neil. Oh my God, Don's turned into a dog. Oh no, he's come back.
It's a neighbor.
I looked away, and it's just a dog in Don's place.
Yeah.
So okay.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. What did you guys think of the villains? Because we haven't really talked about the villains.
Yeah. It's hard to say one of them without spoiling anything, so I'm just going to say the one that is sort of controlling everything. I just want, from the moment you meet her, I'm just like, I can't say the words, but I'm just like, I just want you dead. Dead and dead, not just dead, bang dead. I want you tortured slowly and painful. You know how much I love my horror. I can think of 1,000,001 ways to make the person's death quite worth the issue that's happened.
I'll let Don do a short story on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely. But no, I thought that was brilliant because you're going into the story, and before I started reading it, all I knew about were the hunters.
Yeah.
And that's all I knew about, and that was just basically because of our conversation before, our D&D campaigns and all that kind of thing.
His legs.
My legs.
Yeah, and your legs, yeah, Oliver's legs for sure. But that's all, and then you've expanded on them not just being hunters, and then there's the next group, and then there's another person, and behind that person is someone else. So it's clearly you're a comic book fan like me, because there's always someone behind the other person controlling them, and I thought you did really well with that. And obviously we can talk more about those villains when we talk spoilers. But I like that. I like that you didn't just take the easy route and just go the hunter to the villain. That's it.
Yeah.
You actually because of the writing and because it was written so well, you've made me physically manifest hate for that person. And I was just cheering Zia on the whole way, and I'm like, you just need to take her out, and you know what I mean? Like, it was just very well done.
Cool. Anyone else thoughts on the villains?
It's layered, isn't it? It's a layered a layered event, but I think that you wrote them heinously, like they were horrible people in general, horrible villains, but not so much that it becomes sickly. Like some villains are just like, oh, you've just written everything horrible you could think of and thrown them at a character. But I think you're quite. It was quite clever how you made your reader despise them without just being grotesque with it. I've had to, in some stories I've written, I've had to actually wind back on some villains to make them more palatable, but still hated. But it seems like you did it effortlessly. The Hunter's obviously the OG, the OG villain. But yeah, like was said, it was layered, and no, you did a very good job, and quite good adversaries for her as she travelled through her story. I think if they were all just the same, it would have. Yeah, I don't think I would have got through the book.
I mean, 9 of them were the same, but
No.
Sorry,
There you go.
had to do it. Ainy doesn't know what I'm talking about. Oh no, he would.
No.
No. Well, he's at the start, so they're like chapter 3, I think.
Yeah.
I can't say a lot because, like I said, I haven't read a lot. But as Jamie was writing it, he was kind of telling me along. So I do know like a couple of the spoilers. So what you're talking about, some of the stuff I do understand. But just kind of like I've kind of almost watched the thought process behind it. And it's like you guys were saying, like the layers behind it, it's really impressive and something that you don't often see in books. I think a lot of the time it's usually just like, well, at least from what I've read, there's been like there's one villain or there's just 2, but I think I love how it's like it's not just this one like guy that you focus on. It's like a whole lot of different things kind of going on, but it's not to the point where it's distracting. Like it all kind of builds on top of each other. But like just that's based on what like Jamie's told me as writing it. But I think that was really impressive.
She was my sounding board, pretty much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's you. So what would you do?
Yeah.
What would you like apart from the pants that have bought you?
It sort of comes in waves, doesn't it? It's like every time you think you're getting over a certain, there's something coming up behind it, and it's I'm trying not to.
Yeah. Well, we're
like
almost at spoilers. Do you have any other final thoughts, guys, before we go spoilers?
Did the toaster survive?
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing I was going to say which was what I remembered, is when you were talking about your influences, you were talking about a few influences, and one of them you said was the road.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because you sort of said at first, like it was the road, you were thinking about the road, and then by the time you got to the end of the book, you realized, oh, I can't do that ending.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was really interesting because it's like, it just got me thinking about how something can be an influence, even though it's in the end result, you flip it or you almost abandon it completely. It can almost be like something can be an influence and you go the opposite direction, or in almost every way. It again, I haven't finished reading the book, but it was just really cool how you had the road as an influence. And even though you were saying like, at first it was an influence, but it's still kind of, you've still got that kind of influence, you know, because it's inspired you to go on and do this. So it's almost like a reaction to it in a lot of ways, you know? Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. So for those who have, and this is without spoiling, for those who have read it to the end, you can probably tell what initially I thought she was going to do, and it's the opposite of what she did. Essentially, you know, that was going to be the end, you know. Yeah, well, if you guys want to dive into spoilers, we can. Ainy, do you want to stick around for spoilers, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's go. So Zia, she died?
No.
I'm still here.
What?
She becomes one with the toaster.
She hops in and then gets launched into space.
There's a third toaster.
And they all join together to become Henry
like
Cavill.
Ultron.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill toaster. Before we dive in, I want to say, because if anyone wants to jump off without spoilers, let's just go around again, and Don, tell our non-spoiler people where they can follow you. Plug anything you want to plug.
Okay, yeah, you can follow me, Don_Campbell_author on Instagram. In my bio, there's a link to website, etc. You can get my previous short story collection, which is Midnight Harvest, and my big novel is coming out on the 21st of July, and you can pre-order that now. Both are going to be available on audiobook. Midnight Harvest is already available on audiobook, and the Whispers in the Woods is being made currently before its release as an audiobook. So it should be able to get released on the same day, which is quite exciting. But yeah, so come add me, follow me on Instagram. I'll follow you back, and we can chat about all sorts.
Excellent. Ainy Cormac.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. I have a website as well, ainycormac.com. It's a bit of a blog at the moment. But yeah, so I've got a book coming out in October. I've got a few books out at the moment. I've got something of a prequel novella out at the moment, but it sort of takes place near the end of the trilogy. And the first book of the trilogy is coming out in October. So yeah, it's dark fantasy, grim dark sort of thing. Yeah, there you go.
Cool. Neil, you want to plug your wife's wares again?
I can indeed. The author is Rebecca Cassells. She's written the Rising Dawn trilogy and currently 2 spin-offs that are available. Her latest unrelated work will be The Broken Cabin, which hopefully will be coming out on the 21st of June. I was actually involved in the editing process for that, so I'm something of an editor myself now. If I don't know why anyone would want to follow me, but you can find me on X at Just Out of Range, where I'm mostly complaining about movies, talking to authors, and just ignore the politics stuff.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to sign off for the audio here. We'll do all this on the YouTube. So guys that are on the audio, switch over to YouTube. And yeah, if you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional at gmail.com. But for now, let's talk spoilers. Fancy music.
A big banner across the top here. It says spoilers ahead. Caution.
I created a video today of alarm sounds and then spoilers ahead. So last time to back out. I'll just do this. I'll give the floor to you guys. Ask away. What's on your mind?
Do you want me to be like? I'll be like the reaction.
Yes, and me as well.
Right. Now that all the people that don't want the spoilers are gone, right? Yeah. I can't believe we pulled off the complete joke where Ainy's ideas about the toasters and everything was supposedly not real and not what's actually in the book. I'm really impressed with the toasters.
Giga toaster is a thing.
Great acting.
I think you should write another version and just send it to Ainy and tell him to read it, and it's got all of his chat GPT stuff in there. And then he'll be like, whoa.
You know, Ben Folds did that, from Ben Folds 5. Mm-hmm. He was worried that his album was going to leak. So on the plane, he recorded all the same songs, but changed them, made them really terrible, and had all the same song titles and everything, and uploaded himself. It's just Ben Folds playing bad stuff,
Bait and switch.
Yeah. But then some of those songs are the most requested songs he's ever had at shows.
Oh.
So
ouch.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
They did that with the Simpsons, didn't they? They Who Shot Mr. Burns? They animated and recorded the audio for 4 different endings because they were worried that the reveal was going to be leaked.
Yeah.
That's like when they killed off a bit like when they killed off Robin that time in the comics, where they
the phone number.
2 different ones, and you voted whether he dies or not. And
Jason Todd, the Red Hood, one of the best Robins of all time. But yeah, that was funny. That was like the first time they'd ever done that. You could ring like 2 different 1-900 numbers to vote, and unfortunately, he did not survive. People hated him, which is weird. But this is not the Batman podcast. This is the Ancora podcast.
Okay, I've got one. Now that we're talking spoilers, I really appreciate the that you didn't do the trope. I'm going to introduce a cute, somewhat doggo character. and I'm going to then mercilessly kill them off in front of the main
Yeah.
character just to provoke some kind of emotional reaction.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
John
yes.
Wick.
I was so glad that didn't happen
Yes.
because
Hey,
I
John
was
Wick
like,
gets a
I'm
pass
starting
for
to
that.
love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
true.
exactly. I was like, I'm starting to love this little character. Please don't kill him, sir.
I couldn't. I honestly couldn't. Maybe
I
book
mean, you
two. No,
literally
I'm
couldn't.
not.
For the big reveal, you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It'd be really
No,
bad.
exactly. I'm like, now you can't. You cannot kill that character,
Yeah.
because of the reveal.
Yeah.
Did
I'm
anyone
still.
else imagine him bigger than the cover let on? Like in the reading of it, because you sent me the like EPUB of it, so
Yeah.
it went straight onto and so I didn't have like every time I closed the book have a good idea of
Yeah.
scale. But when I read him, I thought like wolf, like dire wolf size.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Like and
pictured direwolves.
yeah, and then when I saw the cover, I was like, oh, he's actually really cute.
Yeah. No, well, he's supposed to be like the runt, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so the other ones I visualize as much bigger and more
Yeah,
vicious.
but I imagine them like transit van size.
Transit vans. Wow.
Yeah, and then he was the size of like a Ford Focus. Like he was still a big boy.
Yeah, no, well, I didn't really,
Yeah.
think about that, but
But it's amazing. It's funny how you get your own picture in your head
yeah.
Yeah.
when you read, like what I think of some of the characters. If I was to draw them,
Yeah.
and someone else was read it, drew them, they potentially would look different. Obviously, the main character now I've got a visual reference. So yeah, but yeah, no, it's yeah, I imagined him ginormous,
Mm.
like jump on his back and he can run you somewhere.
Yeah. No, I wasn't gonna put, and now that we're doing spoilers, put her brother through that. Jeez, hell.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think talking about that spoiler, obviously all of the spoilers bar one, I didn't see coming. The one spoiler that I did see coming was that she was an heir of Destiny. I mean, I knew that from day one. Shut up, Ainy. Shut up, Ainy. I'll draw you a map if you're not well behaved. No, I saw that coming literally from the prologue. Because, and not just because I've known a little bit of the story, but just because she how tough she is, and how, and you could tell, especially from the mother's sorrow and the flashback to when Destin was alive with his band of merry men and women. Once that happened, I was like, well, then there's no question, because the way that he is reckless but still a little bit safe, is the same way Zia is. So I kind of picked up on that quite early on. But the whole thing about how she's dreaming of Thane all the time, I just thought that was because he was alive and because she had a mental link, and that was what was pushing her to get to get where she was going, because I need to save my brother. I had no idea that it was actually that her brother was by her side pretty much halfway through the book onwards. Yeah, that was a really good spoiler.
So a couple of things to that. So the main idea I had is that it's actually Thane as Tren giving her those dreams, like because of the mental link, because that's how they communicate.
Yeah,
I kind of leaned into that. Maybe I made it too subtle. I don't know. But the other thing about her being a descendant of Destin, that came after the sanctuary.
really?
That late, and I realized kind of what I was doing. I discovered that, hang on, she has to be.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that just goes to your writing style, because as I said, from being realistic, from the end of chapter 2 or 3, when she started to, when she was referring to her father's journal and all this kind of thing, I either thought that, then I didn't really know how far in the future it was. I either thought maybe her grandfather or her father was Destin, and she was, she just didn't know he was using the name Xander to hide, obviously. But obviously now we know it hundreds of years in the future. It kind of picked up that she had some sort of relation, like she was a relative of Destin. That came across to me in reading the first few chapters, because of how well she took to living on her own, and how well she took to surviving and evading the hunters and the nine and all that kind of thing.
Cool. Anyone else have spoilers you want to talk about?
The whole mother's sorrow
Mhm.
sequence is probably one of the parts I'm looking forward to getting back to when I reread now. Again, with a bit more context for what the hell actually was going on there.
Yeah.
Because when I was reading through, going, I'm not. So wait, it's his dreams, his hallucination, someone in their head, and doing some Professor X kind of stuff. And then when it came to when they actually said, "Oh, this is what's happening," I kind of, oh right, I nearly went back to reread from the crossroads, the point where the road splits.
Yeah,
I nearly went right back there to reread it and thought, no, I'm going to reread it anyway. So I'll running out of time, so I'll carry on, and but I'm looking forward to getting back to that sequence, to be able to reread it all, and a twist that I didn't see coming. The fact that Zia has her father's voice guiding her. And initially, I thought it was more along the lines of she's internalizing what her father's taught her, and it's like a flashback to 3 years ago when we did this thing, and you do it like you tie the knot this way or whatever. And then it's kind of like it's more like is this more like Mufasa talking to Simba with the clouds? But then it was more, is there actually some kind of presence that's guiding her? Yes, there was. But the fact that presence was malevolent in its intentions was so again, when I go back to reread now, I'm going to be following that, going, why did they say that? Why are they pushing for this? Rather than just, I'm trying to guide you and help you do what you're trying to do. This is pushing Zia to go somewhere that they want them to be.
Yeah.
Because that's, I don't know if you picked up on any of that, but one of the biggest themes around this thing is deception. And that whole thing with how it worked with that is like they create a little bit of trust, and then they kind of slowly nudge you inch by inch, get a little more, darker as we go along, we should be saying. And then, spoiler alert, it's this villain who, again, was an afterthought, Thalia.
Really? And she's a pardon my French, piece of shit. And I wanted her dead, like, as soon as that Mother Sorrow thing finished and you found, like, I wanted her gone. And I wanted Zia to do bad things to put her in the ground.
I'd already worked out how I would do it.
I bet you had. And from actually reading your books, Don, by the way, I haven't had a chance to say very, very well. I finished both your books. They're both amazing. Very, very good horror writing. I bet you could have worked out. You and I probably can share some notes on how we'd like to get her in the ground quite well. But can I ask
some fan fiction
that,
coming up?
Yeah, on Thalia.
Yep.
Now I'm not sure if this is and feel free to say no comment if you don't know the way that she died. in the crumbling of Emmett's sanctuary.
Yeah.
Is she dead? I'm saying no, but like
Um,
to me, that's an easy way to get her. Oh, she's dead, but she's not. I've watched enough movies. That's not. She's not dead, right?
Yeah. No, like okay, no, she's not dead. I'll just say that.
Thank
She's
you.
not dead.
Yay!
But I was like, that is
she'll
too
be
much of a
back.
clean death. That was too much of a clean death for her to die in the rubble of an explosion. So
Yeah.
I didn't think I knew you pretty well, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
that's just Jamie being sneaky
Yeah.
and trying to like some people think are dead, but she's actually
Yeah.
really still alive. So
Um,
okay.
And just quickly, Don, feel free to use her name in any book you want. If you want to,
Nice.
yeah.
The character's going to escape from a collapsed building, but when they escape, they've got like the smallest cut on their foot
Yeah.
that opens up to a terrible flesh-eating bacteria that, through the course of a book, deteriorates their entire body. There'll be
And you know
flies
what?
and everything.
And the only way that she can cure herself was the guy that she killed in the rubble. So there you go. There's your twist.
Yeah.
But no, so you're saying that she was an afterthought.
Yeah. Now, but I will say this: I did go back and I tweaked things and made to make it look like it wasn't. Yeah, but yeah, yeah, because I definitely
Because not only was she doing that like was she manipulating pretty much the whole world's thoughts of that these hunters are invincible when they're not. But she was also doing the dirty to Zia by pretending to be her father. Because I was thinking, for someone who doesn't like anime, you're putting a lot of anime references into this, like the whole. Let me flash back to when my father taught me this skill, and I could. I was like, this is freaking anime. But then when you made the reveal that it wasn't actually her father, it was Thalia who was essentially telling her where we're taking her, like they said, where they wanted her to go. And I was like, okay, not so anime-like, but yeah, I still got that little anime trope in there.
It was a twist for the anime lovers.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
there were some flashbacks though. I mean, there was a genuine flashback. Chapter 3 was a genuine flashback.
Yeah.
And then everything else was BS.
Well, I mean, like you said in the book, parts of what Zia saw in Destin's and Brianna's flashback was real.
Yeah.
But it just parts of it weren't because like Farley wanted everyone to know that you can't kill these hunters. They're indestructible. When in fact they weren't, as we saw by obviously another spoiler with that which I kind of guessed, like I kind of saw Thalor, is that how you pronounce it?
Thalor.
When he said he had an escort mission at the town, I was like, okay, well, she's clearly going to be escorting her behind the scenes. But which was good because, like, again, that could be from me knowing a little bit about the world when we did D&D.
Yeah.
Especially, I like the hint to the flaming sword. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And just the way that he completely just wipes out the 9 without a breaking a sweat, as Zia says. But that's another thing. Did you plan to kill off pretty much all of your villains in the first book?
Not really, no. I think some of it was necessary, but I think I wanted to at least give you the illusion that they're dead. Like, okay, Locke is dead. I'm going to say that.
See, I thought you would have left him alive. I thought you would have definitely killed the 9, left Locke alive, maybe like Luke Skywalker and him cutting a limb off or something. And I definitely knew Thalia was going to live, but I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Locke being taken down so easily.
Yeah, well, I think he's my shredder. In Ninja Turtles. I think I just couldn't find a way to keep him alive because of his purpose being so driven. He wouldn't stop, and there was no way to have a break between books. But yeah, in the prequel, he's going to be in it a little bit, but it's going to lean more onto his mentor.
Okay, so like the Emperor, if you will.
Yes.
From Star Wars. So okay.
In the prequel, are you going to make your bad guys less ferocious than your bad guys in Ancora? Or are they going to be sort of on par? or are they going to be tougher? Because it's difficult, isn't it, to write? Because people have survived them.
Yeah.
For there to be an Ancora.
Yeah. Well, this is the prequel. Some of the things the prequel is going to lean into is like the discovery of the tech that doesn't work there. Destin's going to lean into that. But I've kind of loosely based it around kind of like a Ned Kelly story, like a Last Stand. Him running around because he's Destin's former military, used to work for the aliens kind of stuff. So he's got insider knowledge.
Right,
and he's going to use that to his advantage to kind of drum up a rebellion, and you're going to meet all those characters in Mother's Sorrow. They're going to have a big part of it.
I like how you made those characters like the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Like thieves and I like that they're all like thieves and one guy's a car salesman. And I'm like, yeah, he's the worst. He's the absolute scum of the earth.
Politician.
Yeah, of course, of course politician's gonna be part of the worst of the worst.
Yeah. I literally Googled like what's this? What are the professions that people consider the scum of the earth? Because I wanted that, like they're the worst of people. They're the rebellion.
Yeah.
Just...
But I really that flashback. I'm glad you made it as long as you did. Like I think it went for three or four chapters.
Yeah.
Because it made me want a prequel. It made me want to learn about Destin and his gang of, the Destin and his band of commandos. Like it made me want to read that story too.
Yeah. Yep.
And are we going to find out what Thalia is?
Thalia, yes. No, there's a huge reveal coming in end of book 2. It's planned for mid to end of book 2. It's like the big. This is why I'm doing the prequel first, because it'll change how you look at everything. And it's a twist I had in mind from the start of it all. I'm going, this is how I want to do it, and it's going to be one of those you'll have to go back and read all the books to, figure out why you didn't see it coming. Because this is one I'm confident that.
Well, because of she, for her to even be able to control Locke, and for her being, essentially his master, so to speak. Like he's not like she's obviously not human because she's got abilities.
Yeah.
But we don't know, and as well as the guys in the mountain too. I want to know, like Thaler, and I can never remember the old guy's name. It's I said to you the other night, MZZ dude.
Metzi.
Yeah.
Metziris.
Are you gonna explore their origins and stuff, or is that happening in the prequel too?
It won't happen in the prequel because I've decided to end the prequel when Destin finds out about them.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be his. There's going to be a gap between, because I don't want to.
Because obviously, like Destin's meeting with them is quite important to essentially all of Ancora. Because if he never met them, they never would have made that promise to with the aliens' technology not being able to work. And like the guy, like Metza says, once I'm gone, their technology, they're going to realize in a short while that the technology is going to work again.
Yeah.
And then the world is doomed.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm hoping, because you didn't really give us too much information on what they are either.
No, I wanted to leave it a little bit mystery there. They were, and Neil may have picked up on this, but they were very Stargate inspired by the what do you call it? The ancients and how they ascend, and if they get involved, then they get punished. But I was like, wouldn't it be cooler if they're super powerful beings that could mess some stuff up, but they would suffer huge consequences. Like they could go all out, but then they'd be dead. But if they interfere a little bit, then their powers weaken. So essentially,
like Taylor said, he said this is the most I've ever interfered in bringing Kin of Destin to the mountain. It's the most he's had to interfere, which I guess probably didn't make Zia feel too good.
No.
She's like, wow, okay.
Well, she's the last.
I'm not powerful.
She was the last,
And
I wonder if that's why he did it. If he knew she was the last, he could be thinking to himself, well, we're almost finished with our purpose here, therefore I will expend it. Almost like when you're playing a first-person shooter and you're saving all the ammo for your big gun for the boss. You don't want to use it, and then when you get to the boss, you're like, right, I can let loose now.
Yeah, everything's there's no use in keeping the special items anymore because this is the end.
Yeah.
But in talking about that, obviously, with another spoiler, we know Destin and Brianna are still alive and they're in this other world, through a magic doorway. Are you going to explore that world at any time? Finding out what's involved over there?
I think maybe I might talk about it, give hints, but I don't want to. I want that to be closed off. I want you to wonder. I want you to,
Okay.
Because otherwise it's just, too much.
Yeah, but I want to know everything. I need to know everything.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No, I do.
This.
I do.
We said
though.
this about the Alien series, and then we
I
got
know.
Prometheus.
Yes.
I know, but Jamie knows me. Like, I'm a completionist like he is. I need to know everything. Yeah. And I need to know what's behind that door. And I need to know, like, if there's any little Destins running around, like him and Brianna are both alive, and have I want to know everything about, and especially now that I like it, I want to know more. But I get it. You got to. One of my favorite TV shows of all time is The Sopranos, and we just finished rewatching it again. And the way that ends at the very end, with so many possibilities happening in that restaurant, and he just cuts to black. That is both one of the most brilliant things and one of the most annoying things in the whole world to me, because I now don't know what happens after that. But
okay, look, I'll settle it here. It's a room of toasters.
Okay. Cool.
And unpaid parking tickets.
Well, in saying that, then, if you're not going to write about that world, maybe that's where the toasters and everyone comes from, and that's Ainy's next series.
Yes.
It's reverse Narnia. You're going to walk into C.S. Lewis's closet.
And they're just like hundreds of people just stuck in a really small closet.
Yeah.
Let me up. Not another one, jeez.
Yeah. No,
I knew that was like I like that you didn't go into like too much into Thalia and Thaler. And I'm thinking, now that I'm saying it, are their names similar for a reason?
No, accident. Complete accident.
Thalia, Thaler.
Yeah. No,
I was going to say, we're not talking a Luke Leia situation here.
No. There is a specific reason why she's called Thalia. I'm not going to tell you why. It comes with the twist, and you'll go, oh, of course. But Thaler, I think I was just looking at, ancient names and, because originally he was going to be like a cherubim, like the flaming sword thing from like an angel kind of thing. But then I went more to the sci-fi ancients, Daniel Jackson kind of stuff. But that's so one of those.
When you were saying, okay, it's me. My mind is going to overdrive since I finished the book. I'm like, okay,
I must do everything.
Do you remember what? Oh, I do. Do you remember the other week when we interviewed that the American writer late at night, and you were saying that your book had some Christian undertones? Like, is that one of the? Because I didn't because I'm not religious, I couldn't pick up on that at all. But in you saying that now, was that one of them? And also was the when you were talking about trend, was that another like reference that you put in there that some Christian people will know?
It's more so the Nabucks himself, the Nebuchadnezzar curse from the Bible. That's one of them. But Thalia, like you can tell there's like a spiritual superpower, supernatural abilities to it. I don't want to say too much because there will be, again, a spoiler in book 2, like a twist coming and all that stuff, and I don't want to make things too obvious. I will tell you off air if you want to know.
No, I don't. I want to be like,
these guys know.
That trend thing. Oh, yeah, well, they're the characters, so clearly.
I was there.
You were there, exactly, yeah. But no, I want to be, like, as I said, that fame trend thing took me out of nowhere. So I want to be.
That was, I really loved
reading it.
I did like that reveal. It was one of my favorite things in the whole book. Just where he's just running, and then looks down at the water, and you're just like, what the fuck?
I was going to message you when I got to the book, because on the ebook, that's the bottom of the page, and then on the next page is the reveal. I was going to message you and go, mate, you've made a mistake. You put Tran instead of Fane.
Yeah.
And then, oh, you put Thane instead. You're like, you put Tran instead of Thane. Then I turned the page and then it said it. I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't message you because I would look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But no, that was very, very good. I did enjoy that.
Cool. Yeah. Well, Brian stole the show. Do you guys have anything you want to?
I was
Anything
going
else
to
you
say,
want
I
to
feel
ask?
like I'm the only one talking about the spoilers.
Do we have an idea of when the prequel going to be roughly available, or when it's done?
I'm working on the draft. I'm about 5,000 words, 6,000 words into the first draft. I'm doing it a little bit slower now because I don't want to do a bazillion rewrites because I kind of know what I'm doing with this one, unless I get any surprise afterthoughts that become supervillains and stuff like that. This one's more plotted out than the rest of them, but hopefully end of the year or early next year. Like I want to get it out as quickly as possible because I love this series and I don't want it to die. Like I don't want to get bored. I want to, while it's fresh in my mind, I want to keep pumping it out.
Is it going to be about that same length? Because I know that you've talked about writing short books, 40, 50,000 words.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to aim for. This one, the prequel called I Destin, I think this one might be a bit longer because I'm up to chapter 5 or 4 or 5, and he's still in the opening area. I'm doing a lot of building, and you're learning a lot more about the aliens and how they took over the world and all that stuff.
But in saying that, even though this was only, we're reading the Kindle edition, it was 188 pages. Yeah. It didn't feel rushed anywhere. No. Like I didn't feel, at any time did I feel, oh wow, that kind of happened really quickly. Or did you do the whole thing and now she encountered these people and then 2 sentences later, oh, that was you didn't skip over anything. It didn't feel rushed at all. It read really well. And I think that's, especially if you're only, it being a relatively shorter book that I'm used to reading. That's another good thing about writing short. Like you really know how to write a story without it feeling rushed at all.
Yeah, and then I can always put 3 books under one cover at some point. That'd be a cool thing to do.
Are you considering doing an audio book?
Convince this one.
Honestly, I'd be up for it.
Because
there you go. It's a verbal contract now.
It's a verbal second. Yeah, because I got asked that again. Kirsten D. Trotter, who her episode's going to be out in July sometime. She's great. She listened to because I did a prologue audiobook.
Yeah, I listened to that. That was awesome.
And she's like, that was so awesome. Do you want to do my book? And I'm like, 600 pages would take me a long time. But I want to do it. I'm thinking about doing it. But it's all like that book's, I can't go, oh yes, my name's Sia and I'm traveling along. Like I just can't,
I would listen to that though. I would listen to
that. Ultimate edition.
Maybe that can be the Ben
heavy dialogue, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'd have to get her to do it, which is possible. It's a shortish book. I'd get him to do Destin, and nice. Then I could be, I don't know, flashbacks. Hello, I'm fine.
Reliable.
No, look, it's possible. If she wants to do it, I reckon we can give it a crack.
Yeah,
I've got all the gear.
It's it will be good for because some people would enjoy the story. And I think people should have access to this. It's like one of the reasons I'm so pro audiobook is I think everyone should have access to the story. Yeah. And even if they start like you and I, Jamie, like we don't physically read a mass amount. Yeah. So it probably took me twice as long as it took Aaron, as it took anyone else. Like Ainy probably read what he's read in like 15 seconds, but it takes me a lot longer. But with audio, it makes it wider, available to everyone, and it's a stream of income additional to your book sales.
Yeah.
It doesn't combat your book sales. It's just an additional stream that wouldn't have been there if it hadn't gone out.
Yeah.
And you'll also have people like me who buy both, because there's a lot of books that I buy the book and then I find out the audio book's out and I'll go, oh wow, I want to hear that. And that's why I have an Audible membership, because I will do both. So I'll have it on, physical and audio, because I like listening to audiobooks just as much as I like reading. So it's gonna bring out that new audience that only listen to audio, and then probably some of your readers will buy both.
Yeah.
And it helps people learn how to pronounce the names.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's something I found because of the nature of my job, I've got eight solid hours a day, 5 days a week to just put my earphones in and just listen to audiobooks. That's how I've done every Star Wars book that was written up to a certain point. That's how I've done all of the Horus Heresy, which is 70 plus books, and they're not finished yet. But there are character names because I've seen the names written down, or I've seen them in on models, whatever. You don't actually you just look at it and you recognize the word, but you never actually stare at it and go, it's this sound, this sound, this sound, it's this.
You give it a name that you associate with it.
Yes.
Like it could say like
you hear it later and you go, oh, that's not my version of the name.
It's like it'll be something like Theracles or something, and then but in your head you go, oh, that's Theo.
Yeah. Well, that's
just a
when I was on the Dad Lit podcast, great podcast, he said Zaya. But
okay.
But then at the same time, he couldn't pronounce the word emu. So
that's everyone knows that's one of my big pet peeves. Like every American guest I say, how do you say emu? And they're like, emu, wrong. It's emu.
Yeah.
But then I
come back when it's well.
Yeah. But then I sent it to Don, Alyssa from Texas, the bookster going, and she said emu. It's like, I don't know how y'all say it here, but I'm in Texas. We say emu. Like,
some people do. Some people don't. Crazy.
Yeah.
I've got to say, you can cut this bit out if you like. But you were very gracious with your with the 3-star review that hit the Goodreads. And I think like it was really quite like respectable how you took it on board, what was said, etc. And I didn't agree with the reasoning behind it. I was never going, I don't know where she's going. Like I never had that thought. But obviously a review is someone's interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And if something jarred them, then it jarred them. I've had reviews where I'm like, oh well, I didn't really see it that way. When someone said something. But I just wanted to take my hat off to you about taking the. It's not a bad review. Because I think what a lot of people, some reviewers have a different reviewing standard.
Yeah.
So if something's going to be 5-star to some reviewers, if it's 5-star, that means it is literally the best thing they have ever read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That means you're writing to the same quality as the great books the greatest books that have ever been written. That so the fact that people like will review you 5 stars, like my 5 stars is did I think it was flawed? My review is, do I think that the book was flawed? And I rated your book 5 stars. To me, it was an easy 5 stars. I don't think there was a flaw in it. I think that there was I never once got bored of reading it. I never once went, come on, get over. Let's get rid of this bit. You don't need that. I wasn't correcting it in my head. So to me, it got 5 stars. But just hats off to you for acknowledging, because a lot of people they'll just dampen down the high that review, and hope that the rest of the 5s that come will make it a 4.75 star in no time.
Yeah.
But the fact that you highlighted it, I had a lot of respect for you for that.
Yeah. No, I've always been good, or more recently been good at constructive criticism and stuff like that. And someone actually said they didn't like the way it read more like a 4-star instead of a 3-star. Like it's like all her points were 4-star points, not 3-star points.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. There's someone that does a little plug for him. I'm trying to think what his full Instagram handle is. It's got Whispers in it because I remember he liked the fact that Whispers in the Woods was in his name, like Whispers was in his name.
Yeah.
But he's got his first pinned post on his Instagram is his marking structure.
Yeah.
So it says 5-star, like completely outstanding, like 4.5 to 4.75, like unbelievable. And it goes down, it gets to 3, and it's like, yes, I would recommend still.
Yeah.
So I think we're not all playing with the same deck of cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you wanted to be critical, and really nitpick, you could probably push it down to 4-star.
Yeah.
It's like your main piece so far, writing wise. It's you've explored more with this than you have anything else.
Yeah.
So if this was going to be 10 out of 10, where do you go from there? So there was obviously that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, I wouldn't have went as low as 3.
Yeah.
I think those reviews can be really helpful too. Like when you first see them, they can be a bit disheartening, but like you said, like, like Don's saying, you took it on board, like you've taken on the feedback, and I often find when I'm going on to, Goodreads to look at a book, like if it's just got nothing but 5-star reviews and it's all from the author's mates, like it's, I feel like having a bit of diversity to it is good. And I oftentimes, you watch a movie and you think, wow, that was an amazing movie, and someone else sees it a completely different way. And I think those books that, or even films or whatever it is that polarize a little bit, I think there's so much to them. And so I think it's good to sometimes get a negative review, even though it isn't at the same time. You go, but like you say, like Don says, you took so much of that on board. I have a friend who she really wanted a 1-star review on her book because she's like, God, like everyone's giving me all this love, I want a 1-star review. So I left this 1-star review. I left it. It was scathing. I said like horrible things about her book because she asked me to, right? And then I applied for one of these. You see all these Instagram accounts where they're like, science fiction reviewers or fantasy book reviewers.
Yeah.
I applied for one of them and they came back to me. They're like, sorry, we saw you've got excessively harsh criticisms of books on your thing. And I didn't have a chance to explain to them, like, that was a joke that they, but whatever. I didn't get the gig. But yeah, I just think those books where if it's all positive, I don't think it really helps you sometimes grow as an artist. Yeah. But if it's constructive, and whether or not, and like Don says, everyone has their different scale. I often think I'm waiting for a book to come along. And I feel like it might happen this year where I read a book that is so good that I have to go on Goodreads and knock every other book down a star, because I'm having to try and remember that, like Don said again, that 5 stars, man, that is, you can't get better than that. I do wish that Goodreads and all of these online things, I wish they had a 10-star because it would be more nuanced, and you'd be able to go, 7 or 8 or whatever. 5 is so tricky because it's so rudimentary. It's just like you've got, and 3 looks so bad because everyone gives 4 or 5 stars. But I think you handled it really well.
Well, feel free to leave
a 3-star.
Not enough toasters.
Toast of villains. Toast of villains.
Toast of Ultron.
They have I think another thing that you can do, which I've had before, is the review on Goodreads, someone will mark it as 5. They'll mark it as 5. They'll give it a 5-star review on one of my books. But then in the description, when the caption underneath, they'll write 4.5 star. Because there's no half-star qualification. They'd rather go up half a star, but then explain it was 4.5 in the caption. So, which I think works quite well. You got rated 3. I don't think even the reviewer meant 3. I think that was just the closest to what is, maybe it was 3.5, but there was no, there's no point. There's no mid range between, or maybe it was 3.75 star, but because she couldn't quite give it a 4, it had to go down to 3. So that's another thing to take on board. She's got my book currently. The person who did your review. I reached out to her and said, would you like to review my book after seeing your review? Because I'm like,
if you hate that, you'll hate this.
you ain't seen nothing yet. It's like I might as well just throw a grenade into my book and be like, everyone dies. But yeah, no, I fancied a genuine, like, I wanted, like, you know, she'll be genuine. I know she will. But I was just interested to see, like, I'm not scared of getting a bad review. Realistically, I don't know anyone that before buying my book looked it up on Goodreads anyway. They read the book, then add it to Goodreads and say, I've read it. Too late now. You've read it. You've already had the bet.
That's it.
You know, well done. Again, you should be proud of the book, and you should. I'm impressed with your ability to take on what could look like a mid-range review for a above mid-range book.
Yeah, thanks. Well, unless there's any final thoughts, if you want to
I have one more question.
Okay, Ryan has one more.
One more question. So, you know, obviously at the end of the book, we know that Zia doesn't go through the door. She stays in Ancora to fight, even though she's seriously considering it until Thane/Trent speaks up. Is there any point in your planning of this story that you had them going through that door?
Yeah, originally, yes. That was the original ending.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they were just like stuff you Ancora. We're going to live our best lives.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
That was the original, and then I got there. Zia got there, and she was like, "No, I can't go through."
I couldn't see her doing that. That's the thing, like you said. I just honestly, after reading that book, and because I felt it got so close to the last page, and she was still thinking about saying yes, I felt like saying, "Don't you do this, Jamie? Don't you make her say yes, because that's not what she would do." I felt like saying that's not the Zia that I know from reading the book that would have done that. So
I did want to make it linger just a little too much, you know.
I would have went.
Originally, was she not? Originally, was she not going to go through because originally Tren wasn't part of the story? Because I felt like one of the reasons that she didn't go was he didn't want to go, and she wanted to stay and try and help him. But if you say that originally Tren wasn't even a character, then she would have no reason to stay.
And again, layering on top of that, Tren wasn't going to be Thane either, you know. And then it just kind of, you know, hindsight, I'm going, this is too good of a thing not to make that, you know.
So in saying that, sorry, one more question. In saying that, you know how in the flashback you were like, they just want the children. They just want the children. And obviously at the time we didn't know why. But was that always once you figured out you wanted the Nabucks in the story and you wanted Tren in the story and everything, did you want the children to be turned into Nabucks? That was the reason.
Yeah, that was from the start. And that goes all the way back to our first interview with Don. And I was asking you that question about, is it ethical to kill children, you know?
Oh, okay, I see now. And I was like, yep. I said yes. For sure.
Is it ethical to kill a child if it becomes a monster once it's become the monster, you know?
In my book, I kill them when they're not monsters. So
See, this is why I like you, Dom, because I love your reading, but you and me, we're on the same wavelength. Because I remember when Jamie asked me that question, and I said, without a doubt, yes, it is okay to kill children, even if they turn into monsters. And I was like, you can tell this is from a guy who has no kids and has no plan on having kids. But yeah, I just honestly like because I believe in fate. I'm like this person was always going to be evil, so therefore, bang bang. And but yeah, But I didn't realize. Now, in saying that, you have slightly altered my perception in reading your book, because I was like, now that I know that all those neighbours that I was hating earlier on in the books were actually children that were,
Yeah.
brainwashed. One turned into these monsters, and then brainwashed into working for Locke. I'm like, well, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, well, there's two levels to it, and obviously Thane escaped before the process had been fully taken over. Because first it's turned them into the creature, then it's bond them.
Yeah. So in saying that, is there no hope for that? You know how when Thaler says to the neighbour, "Off you go, you can go, or you can come with us, or whatever," and they just run. So is there no hope for them?
There's a plan with them. I won't tell you what. You'll find out in book 2.
Well, give me book 2 and I will.
They slowly become emus and then take over Australia.
Yeah. Well,
I like that tiding.
If you notice how I named the tribes, they're about basically the idea was extinct species. These species are no longer around anymore. There's no emu, so maybe they're still alive.
Well, I'm glad that you named one of the tribes Plover Tribe, because I hate those freaking birds. And now knowing that they're extinct brings me joy and happiness.
Yeah, I hate them too. Have you not known plovers, Neil?
Oh man, they're like beside the bin chickens, aka the ibises in Australia, they're like the most hated words. Yeah, because they literally go into bins and eat out of them, so they're bin chickens.
Yeah.
But yeah, plovers, seriously, they swoop like magpies, but they serve no purpose.
They're angry. Like they lay an egg in a field.
In the middle of
a field, and then if you go near it, like if you go 20 meters away, it just runs at you.
Yep.
They've got spurs on their wings who like do actual stabbing.
Magpies swoop because that's all they know. But plovers know. We don't have to swoop you, but they will. They have intent and anger towards the human race. They're like the reverse hunters.
If they're as big as emus, we'd be dead.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. We wouldn't be recording this podcast.
Yes. Anyone else final questions before we wrap up?
One final question, just because I think Don mentioned cards earlier. Was there any inspiration in using playing cards as the primo currency? Sorry to go back to economics.
That I have to give Chris a bit of a that was his one of his ideas originally way back when. He just thought it'd be a cool idea, and it stuck with me. I thought, you know what, I like that idea. I'm going to take a little inspiration from Chris and use one of his ideas, just the way Ryan was an Uber driver in the Zombie trilogy. And
he was the most favorite character in that whole series, as read by many.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's a good marketing opportunity too, because now you can do Ancora playing cards as like merch.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's a good idea.
Make some extra money.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Ancora playing cards.
Yeah. So there is merch. I do have the prints on my website if anyone wants any. Yeah, and all the emu art's on there too. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Yeah. So what's Ancora?
What's Ancora? It's the Blue Mountains.
He means
where's the toaster?
Is this like is it a book or what? I mean, so confused this whole time.
It's a toaster brand.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Well, let's just say it's the Blue Mountains renamed.
Yeah.
It's the Blue Mountains renamed.
Oh no, well, we've been here for a while. Your map. Sorry, my computer was stuffing up when you showed the map, and I did see the map. Did you draw that?
Yeah, I did it. I can't remember what. I think Wondercraft or.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say which Wonder Draft.
Wonder Draft.
Yep. Cool. All right. I was just interested to see.
And I literally just put it next to the Blue Mountains on Google Earth and went
traced.
Yeah, pretty much. It was really cool doing that because I can visualize everything. And the other good thing that the 3-star reviewer said to me was that she could tell it was Australia.
Yeah.
Like she could just because she's from Victoria, and she's like she just read it. She knew it was.
Yeah. And so
Australia.
why is the map not in the book?
Well, that's it. That's all we have time for, folks.
I've been booted off.
Sold separately.
No, it was initially really only for me, just so I could process the story, and try to avoid her going to every single point on the map, and to keep that fresh. Like if I couldn't go there, I'd reference it in one way. There's a place I really want to get to, but I don't know if I ever will, and that's Red Wolf, where they're the ones that they basically do the census of the aliens. They can watch all the aliens coming in. They let people know certain types and stuff like that. I don't see a way possible for me ever going there, but that's something I'd like to visit. If I can find a way to make it work, because it's just.
Could you do like short stories or something?
I could do.
Like a little collection, sometimes you'll have like the series and then you just have like a tiny volume of short stories or something.
Yeah. Well, I really did like going back to Plover Dirk. I really like Dirk's character. He's like a Cockney guy. He's like, come from a hole. You're going to fit perfectly. Because it's just like most people are too big to squeeze through this hole. But yeah, so that's a possibility, but I really want to focus on the main stories first.
Yeah.
And I'm going to finish one, and Ryan's inevitably going to go, where's the next one?
Of course. He's Pandora. He just wants to keep opening up everything he shouldn't.
I'll just do the entire Great Dividing Range, which spans from Victoria all the way up to Queensland.
Yeah.
That's technically how big Ancora is.
You should make the Queenslanders the villains.
Yeah. It'd be Victoria, man. It'd be Victoria. Sorry, guys.
I was going to say if there was anything New South Welshmen and Victorians can agree on, is that Queensland are always the villains.
Yes. So back on maps. Maybe in the future, look, if I sell enough copies of this book, then maybe I might whip up a map and blast it somewhere.
Sweet.
But yeah, like I always said, Mother Sorrow's Bilpin up in the Blue Mountains. The Saracful Lake is pretty much Warragamba Dam. I mean, you can find these places.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a long one.
It's good.
It's almost as long as Ainy's episode itself, which he's trying to outdo himself with every episode, but you've done it with other people.
Yeah, someone else beat me.
Yeah, well, if you want to go another 10 minutes, then we'll beat them. But that's only if you can think of 10 minutes worth of content and not just Ainy Cormac's.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Does it count? Because it's like there's like 5 or 6 of us, or 7 of us, aren't there? So because that day where we tried to do that long one, and we were by the end of it, we were just staring at each other.
Well,
I can't imagine it would have been entertaining for people just listening while they're driving.
I can call the episode Ancora with Ainy Cormac.
Yeah.
It's up to you. If you can think of any more questions, anything else on your minds, it's only now it's another 7 minutes.
Plus ads. You've got ads in too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You should do a 1-year anniversary release of Ancora, a hardback with the inner cover, because I know you've done the clever thing where you've got the writingless inner cover.
Yeah.
And the sleeve's got everything on it. But you should do a limited edition version where when you take the outer cover off, it's the whole map.
Ooh.
That would work.
Like a 1-year anniversary. That way you can actually sell like a load more of the same book without putting any extra work in.
Apart from the map. But that's true, because the other idea I had was having a fold up map inside it.
Ooh,
like Zia's journal,
Yes. Are you I can't remember if we talked about this. Are you going to be going into more selling like face to face with people?
I want to. I can't afford to get a lot of printing done at most.
Yeah, exactly.
A stack of emu books, but with my local markets, it's you got to pay $80 to have the store for 4 hours. Then you got to pay insurance, and then you got to all this, and you may end up not selling enough money to cover those costs.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm thinking about going to a local cafe and just, one I know well, and going, do you mind if I set up a stall here and just, sell my wares?
You can also do libraries. So if you
Yes.
speak to a library and ask, could you hire the library
Yeah.
for an event? It was like here, you could hire our local library for about £30
Yeah.
for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And all you do is just like get printed marketing, put it in the library for the few weeks before it, and people would turn up to the opening of an envelope. So
Yeah.
like if you say, oh, there's going to be refreshments and cake, they'll turn up.
Yeah.
And if 5 people buy your book and those 5 people write a review and their friends see the review, that I think it's worth investing.
Yeah. Well, our library does that. You don't have to pay anything. You just got to book it in, pretty much. So that's definitely something I've been thinking about doing. But it's hard, getting all those books printed, because it costs quite a bit of dough.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is if you went modest on the physical books available. So if you got, I don't know, 6 copies or 10 copies of your book, rather than going crazy with it, but then just set up a QR code on the table where people can literally buy it from Amazon or whatever link you want to give them. They can do that while you're stood there.
Yeah, that's true.
You can get like book place cards, so it will say like Ancora, like a business card.
Yeah.
It will say Ancora on it, and it's quite nice, and you can sign that. So then they've still got your signature. When the book comes, they just put it in the book. They can use it as their bookmark.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, some people will go, oh well, I would have picked up a physical one now if it was available, so you could sign it.
Yeah.
But some people might go, okay, just through the guilt of having you talk about your book for 10 minutes to them and then say, oh, actually, I haven't got any physical ones available anymore, but you can buy it here. Most people will go, okay, and just scan it.
Yeah,
that's a good point. You'll be sold out so quick that you go, look, we're all sold out, and it'll just raise interest.
Yeah, I'll just bring in a whole lot of cardboard boxes.
Yeah, the demand. Sorry, the demand will be just.
Like how buskers have they always start with coins already in their guitar case. It's like, oh, he's doing
someone else thought, someone else thought I was worth it.
Yeah.
Excellent, good idea. Another 4 minutes, Ainy. What do you got?
I don't know. I haven't got any. I'm so tired.
It's only 9:15, mate.
I know.
And I noticed you sipping on an energy drink throughout the
I'm trying
show.
to stay awake.
Trying to stay awake.
Come on, finish the marathon. You're at you can just see.
Well, I think you should hire Don as your marketing person after his suggestions, right? I think that's some solid work, and especially the whole just get 10 books. Oh, there you go. You just get 10 books, and that's a brilliant idea. And you can go, I've just sold the last copy, but here you go. Here's the QR code. Just scan it, and they can buy it on ebook, or they can get it from Amazon anyway.
Yeah.
And if they are in your local area, which inevitably they will be because they're coming to the library near where you live, just say when it arrives, just here's my email. I'll come over. I'll sign it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
even if they don't want to go, don't want you to go to their house, you can say, well, I can meet you back here at the library. Just let me know when and where, and we can meet up and sign it there.
Or you could make another event of it and say anyone that's bought my book, I'll be at the library. You don't even have to pay the library at this point because you'll just be in the library with a pen.
Yeah.
For anyone that wants their book signed.
That's it.
Or not. They might not want it, and you just sign it anyway.
Just run around signing random books.
Yeah.
You find the complete works of William Shakespeare signed by J.A. Bryden.
Yeah.
It's just like a scavenger hunt. Find the book. Yeah, 3 stars.
Well, that's like when our friend Mike bought my Emu War book, and I wrote from Henry Cavill, and then I signed it. That's two Henry Cavill references we've made. That's a good number.
Frankly, not enough in my opinion.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's wrap it up. We're all getting tired.
How many more minutes do we have?
1.
I think we could just, why don't everyone should just plug themselves again, and that'll take a minute.
All right, okay.
Oh, Janie, why don't you plug yourself?
Yeah,
because
myself.
we've all said where you can find us.
Yeah.
Well,
you have-
all my stuff's in the show notes. Let's grab my book. Let's grab all my books. Hold that, Imogen. Ancora out now. Oliver, plug the emus. And my shiny new cover for the Wedding Night trilogy with zombies on the back. Zombies fighting on the back. I'm actually really happy with this. I did this whole cover myself.
Wow.
JABryden.com.
Yeah. Read it.
Read it.
Cora.
Read it. All of them. Yes.
Yeah, I'll finish. I will.
Come on.
Otherwise,
Ainy will read it on the 50th anniversary of Ancora. He will finish the book by then.
I'm an old
No,
man.
And he'll still be complaining about the lack of maps.
He's waiting. He's waiting for the whole series so he can binge it.
Yeah. That only works until the series is finished, and then you have to come up with another excuse. So.
Yeah.
When my complete life works. Complete life works. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Don. Thanks, Ainy. Especially Ainy for coming on, even though there was hardly any maps.
No, that's all right. I'm always down.
All right, guys, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com if you want to reach out. Stories_podcast on Instagrams. We're on X. We're everywhere. All our links are down in the show notes. Check out Martin Kearns. We haven't mentioned him yet. He's got some great urban fantasy stuff. Check out Rebecca Cassells. Bye. Hold it one more time, Imogen. Bye, Ancora.
Bye, Ancora. And read it.
And read it. Or just buy it. And then lose it and buy it again. All right, guys. Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time.